Dexter has a very different first day at work than pretty much anybody that's ever existed in the history of the world. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Showtime and Paramount are feeding us. I don't know if it's going to be the normal schedule. I don't know if they're doing this because of the holiday week. But we got 2 episodes this week for Dexter, episodes 2 and 3. I'm still going to speak on them separately from each other because they're both dense. And so this one is called Kid in the Candy Store, and it's about Dexter. It's basically his first day on the job at Miami Metro. We pull up, and Dexter is walking into the office, and he is getting the lay of the land from Tanya. Tanya sort of goes into how she's the first woman pretty much in her field in this job, and so she had to work and climb her way up. She informs them of how underfunded they are, and then she also gives them a pager, which is basically, hey, when I paid you, I'm going to need you to show up, which I feel at some point in time is going to be sort of a detriment to him. As he even mentions, I don't like to be put on a leash, and that's literally putting him on a leash. I think somewhere in this, as this season comes along, she's going to page and he's not going to answer because he's going to be in one of those kill rooms, and all hell's going to break loose. It also does a real odd jump cut. This is just an editing issue that I had, but it does a jump cut to a scene of a child being brought down a corridor. And it's fine because it becomes a big overarching story in it, but we just see a kid getting pulled down a hallway, screaming at the top of his lungs, and then we go to the Dexter theme. It's just an odd, jarring cut to go from something that was so... It would have been better off almost to just start with this and then get into the first day of work. But that's neither here nor there. It just was shocking how it occurred. When we come back, what we realize is that that kid is the kid of a judge, famous judge. And Captain Spencer feels like this probably is retaliation for a cartel hit who the judge put away based on some stuff that Bobby and Harry did when they were younger. It's all tied to Estrada. And so sort of connected to Dexter in a 6 degrees sort of way. As we go along, we get a bunch of shots of the kid in captivity, him getting food, him getting food's like through a slit in the door. Just basically, we check in with that scene pretty regularly throughout the episode before an exciting incident happens that moves the storyline along altogether. Harry clocks that Dexter seems more at peace and more calm, sort of has satiated his dark passenger between the Mary kill and working at Miami Metro, which he feels is going to sort of be the methadone to a meth addict. Dexter's words, not mine, but sort of, hey, we're going to keep you and wean you off of your true dark passenger by giving you these blood spatters and these murder case kills. You may still be able to get some of the fix that you need from this without actually having to go kill. So Harry's hoping. We all know Harry's wrong. So they get to a new crime has happened. So the whole team gets to go to the crime scene. Dex as well. Captain Spencer invites him. So Dex gets down there, seeing the crime scene. He's like Christmas Day. He even imagine what there's a moment where he imagines a bow on top of him. Like he is a pig in slop right now. And he's kind of analyzing the scene, looking at everything, and then he gets told what Tanya wants him to do on the scene. That's to go on a coffee run. She wants him to go on a coffee run, not at all what he planned to do. So he goes to the coffee run and comes back. When he returns, Tanya sort of starts laying out, like, these are the things that I look for at a crime scene. It's sort of what you should look for at a crime scene. And he's listening till he's not. He starts going into his analyst mode, and he's picking up things, and he's learning things, and he's canvassing the scene. And in that, he jumps to a spot where he sees that there's a blood spatter that has a space in it, and he says, hey, the assailant was clearly, I've got it, I figured it out. He was in close range because this blood spatter stops existing here. And Tanya's like, oh, cool. And she calls over Angel. She's like, hey, can you tell him the theory that you have? And then Angel calls over Bobby. He's like, can you tell him the theory? And they all sort of have once Angel comes over, I'm like, oh, they're they're pulling his leg. They're having a joshing moment with him. Dexter has no social cues. He's socially awkward. He has no idea that they're making fun of him. Because Bobby then says, "Well, we can tell by the gun residue, the burning of the skin around the entry point of the bullet, that they were in close proximity. We didn't need the blood spatter piece, but cool, good on you." They all sort of laugh at him. It's at that point that Harry sees what's going on. Harry calls Dex over to the side. Like, look, they're just pulling your leg. They're having a good time with you. You're the new guy on the team, so they're having fun at your expense. To fit in, though, you're going to need to have some fun back with them. So you're going to have to throw it right back at them and sort of earn their trust and earn their rapport. I got to be honest, in this episode, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the flashback trope. The previous series did not really have that at all whatsoever, and so to have that here, it's one, gives us a different vibe to this too, but it's jarring. Sort of some of the de-aging stuff. It looks good. It's fine. It's not that bad. But it's just I have to get used to the ebb and flow of the flashbacks that this series has. That said, we get a flashback of Harry and Bobby beginning their case against Estrada, and so we're seeing if the cartel, and that is what is happening with the judge in the head, whatnot. That we're seeing how it led to this point, and so Harry starts going down memory lane. He picks up two drug folks at a bust. It's, I think Leo was the name. Might not be Leo. Yeah, it was. It was Leo, and then what we go to know as Laura. For those who are not initiated with the Dexter lore, Laura Moser is Dexter's birth mom, and so we started pulling at that string. It was like, oh, this is sort of all being connected. And Harry, they take them both in, and you can sort of see that Harry's like, okay, she seems a little weaker or a little, I can probably get to her before we get to him. So that is eventually what happens. While they're at the crime scene, Deb and Sophia are out hanging out, and Sophia is showing off some cash, showing off that she got a little bit of money. And Deb asks, "How did you get the money?" He's like, "Well, I pawned stuff. I just found random stuff around the house that people wouldn't know that goes missing, and I pawned it off and got a little couple extra dollars." She basically gives the thought to Deb, and Deb, I immediately knew as though Deb's going to go for those earrings. She's going to find those earrings, but Sophia also lets her know that, hey, I'm crushing on Dex, and I need you to find a way to get me an in so I can have a conversation and talk to him. The team go out to a lunch bonding thing to chat. It's Angel, Masuka, Bobby, and Dex. And it's in that moment that Dex sort of realizes the first time that he's actually gone anywhere without family, like where it wasn't Deb or Harry, to have actually friends. Like he actually had people to sit in a booth with him that he could talk to. Asuka gives him his laminate badge, and they're chatting, they're talking. Um, Dexter throws a joke that is very morbid. He throws a joke at Bobby about, hey, you know, watch your eating habits, you could have a heart attack, basically. And Angel's like, well, that's a real morbid joke because your dad just had a heart attack. And just to show you how awkward and how socially unaware Dexter is. And in his brain, the monologue that we're getting is that he thought this was going to be easy. Like, oh yeah, I'll easily be able to fit in. This will be fine. Clearly, he has no idea what the hell he's doing. Back at home, Dex is helping get ready for dinner, and Deb calls him out on it. Like, you never do this. What the hell's going on? Did you get laid? Like, why are you so happy? It seems like the murder is looking good on you. And Dex kind of like, well, you actually don't know the half of it. Get a couple of those little corny jokes that sort of happen that just fit with whatever Dex is doing. Harry comes in. Dex clocks that Harry is smoking. Deb doesn't quite know that she's trying to keep him healthy. She's grilling tofu. She's doing everything humanly possible to keep him healthy, but Harry just can't stop the urges of smoking. And Dex does a weird thing to sort of make an analogy between Harry's urges to smoke and smoking with his urges to kill. And Harry's like, please don't put those together. They're not the same thing at all. We're not even on the same page. Harry then asks him about, like, hey, how do you feel? How was your first day? How do you feel? He says that it doesn't compare to what he got to do with Mary, but it's good. I'm having way more fun here than I did in med school. And so this is the path that I should be taking. You can tell that in the way that he describes the kill with Mary versus how he speaks on Miami Metro, it varies greatly. And Harry clocks that. Harry can see that there's far more excitement in the way that the Mary thing went than this. And so he still knows that this is probably not going to be the end all with Dexter. Deb gives the tofu, but Harry ain't feeling it, and Dex and Harry start having like a little bit more one-on-one. Deb just does not feel it. Deb does not feel that the closeness that Dex and Harry have. She feels very alienating. She's just like, you guys don't appreciate me. You don't respect me. What am I doing here? So she storms off. Because it's such a big piece of the episode, Dex has a moment where he shows his totem, his trophy. He shows that the earrings that he kept from Mary help keep him centered when he does have those passions. Knowing that he did that, that trophy helps keep him centered to sort of keep his urges at bay because I got one here. I did that here. Actually, I remember the guy's name. It was Joe. It was Joe and Laura. Harry and Bobby tried to crack Joe in the flashbacks, but he's stonewalling them. And so Harry's like, "Look, Bobby, I got an idea. Let's attempt with Laura." And so he meets with Laura, and enlists her, and feels like, hey, she would be a good person to enlist as a informant. And so he goes to Captain Spencer and says, "Hey, I'd like to use her as an informant. She's got 2 kids. I think she wants to keep on the straight and narrow. I think she'd be a good person that we can flip." And Captain Spencer's like, "Cool, go with it. Go with God and make it happen." And so they go down that path. Back in present day, or present day for the show, Harry goes to Deb to sort of try to console her and just have a talk with her, and it goes worse. He essentially tells her that, hey, you have not been the same since your mother passed, and it's time to sort of move on. And Deb takes that even closer to heart and just says, "F you, Dad," and just storms off. He did a piss poor job of handling that situation. So the next day, his second day at Miami Metro, Dex wants to make good with the entire precinct, and so he brings a veggie tray to everybody. And sort of says, "Hey, have some veggies," mainly because Bobby, who was having health issues, he said that he needed to eat healthier, and so he brought a veggie tray. Mind you, this is like a testosterone fueled place. They're all smoking in the precinct because at this time smoking was still allowed everywhere, and so um, yeah, that doesn't go over well. He is very much like, they're like, "Cool, glad you brought that. Good job, kid." What the hell? Nobody's eating veggies. While he's getting laughed at, Harry sort of clocks it. It's like, "Hey, Angel, can you do me a favor? Can you keep an eye on Dex? Can you sort of take him under your wing so he's not as socially awkward?" And Angel's like, "Cool, yeah, I'll take him out. We'll get acquainted. It'll be fine. He'll be good." Tyneton then sends Dex down to records, which is in the basement below, to look up other open cases that sort of are in line with the murder they just sort of got with the man with the gunshot in his head. So Dex goes downstairs, and he's met them in their time because Camilla grew up with Harry and Harry's wife and the family. But we as an audience are meeting Camilla for the first time, which is a big piece for those who were with Dexter this whole time. It's a big piece of Dexter's life, and sort of that story goes on. I feel like she might have been one of the few people that, as time goes, she sort of clocks and realizes what Dexter is, but she doesn't care because she kind of agrees with it. This is the first time that we see her. She schools Dex like, "Hey, cool, let me see that veggie tray. Ain't nobody want that veggie tray. These people are smoking, drinking." She was smoking while he came down there, so she takes the veggie tray, dumps it, and says, like, here's the records. Nothing's on computers. This is my place. You can come down here at any point in time. But she sort of just gives him the lay of the land and how everything is sort of set up. Dex gets down there and he looks up some records, and he starts seeing that it's like a kid in a candy store. It's a treasure trove of unsolved cases where he can kind of just go in and see, based on the patterns and whatnot of whatever case breaks, he can find more information here and sort of find people that might lead to him getting a few more of those rocks off with his dark passenger. Harry and Spencer attend the arraignment of the man that they called in SWAT. I think his name is Leo. That's what I was getting confused with. He with the serial killer stuff that they had, and Spencer thinks it's an open shut case. Harry's freaking out. Harry's just nervous about everything. I think just life as a whole has done a number on Harry. He's not calm about anything. But while they're leaving, the judge that's present on this case sort of just calls Harry and is like, "Hey, real quick, what are you hearing about this judge's kid being missing?" And Harry's kind of like, "Look, it's not falling to us because it's not a homicide, like, and that's what I'm in. But we have a theory that it's a cartel hit because of how many people that the judge has sort of put away. But that's the theory we're going with. We're clocking it. We're trying to keep an eye on it. But if we hear anything, we'll let you know." And he's like, "Cool." And then he sort of flippantly says, "It's nothing. I couldn't imagine losing a son," which hits more to Harry than I think anybody can sort of anticipate. And we see sort of a flashback of Harry coming home to his wife, and she's drinking while there is a letter of not being pregnant in front of her, the results of a pregnancy test. They were supposed to open that together, but she opened it and she's like, "Look, we've been trying left and left to right. This is God's way of saying that we don't get to replace our son," which is kind of a wild thing to say, is that was their goal, was just to replace their son. They never got that. They didn't get that feeling to replace their son. And so it's clear that when Dex comes, that is what they're sort of using him as. He's the person that's sort of replacing Harry Jr. And it's going to be interesting to see, because I don't quite get the feeling we're going to get the flashbacks are going to come in handy, because we're going to see how Deborah's biological mom responds to Dex being brought home as sort of the replacement kid. But you can tell that their marriage is estranged. They don't seem like they're very intimate with each other. They don't really have talks with each other. She opened this up without him. They're not on the same page. They have now made their relationship a transaction. Like, our goal is to just sort of replace Harry, and she probably obviously blames him for it, and he blames himself for it. So that marriage has sort of gone down the wayside. Back in present day, Deb is going through her mom's jewelry box, and she just can't come to taking any of her stuff to pawn. But she does goes like, "Well, screw it, can't take care of hers. Let me go check out what Dex has and go steal and pawn some of that stuff." And she goes to go try to pawn videos, but in that was like, one of the video cases is hollow and there's some earrings in it. She's like, "Okay, cool, I'm gonna go take these." So she takes them. Yeah, Dex is not gonna be pleased about that. Angel takes Dex to the same restaurant they went for lunch. At night becomes a club that we will know well as we go on with this series. But it's a club. Um, the vibe is completely different. The partying, the dancing. Angel's trying to show Dex how to dance. He's doing what he can, what Harry has asked of him to, hey, show my son sort of the ropes of not being so weird. In that, Dex learns of a busboy that used to work there named Renee, whose mom was killed by a drug lord, who's basically a bookie who gives out money and then kills in response. He learns that to gain his money, the bookie Tony, handsome Tony, goes to threaten Renee, and he puts a gun and he shoots. The bullet goes through the wall and kills his mother. And Renee doesn't kill himself, but doesn't die in that moment. But the pain of losing his mother, then he commits suicide himself. And so those are two photo stills that in the record stuff Dex saw. He saw that. It was like, I have that. I'm aware of that. And so he clocks like, "Well, thank you. This night out was great, because you have now just put me on my path to find out who the next person is that I'm going to kill," because that killing connects. Dex immediately clocks that killing connects to the killing that they got at the very beginning with the man with the gun residue. Puts it all together. Deb tries to pawn the earrings, but there's no value. They're fake, and so there's no value to monetarily. They hold a lot of value to Dex. But the pawn owner says, "Hey, those pearls that you have around your neck, that's worth something. I'll give you 200 for them." And she's like, "No." It's like, he ups it to 250. And she reluctantly gives them up, and those are pearls that belong to her mother. But this just shows you how impulsive Deb is. But then she sells them. She's like, "My dad said that I need to move on, so here I go. I'm going to freaking move on." And even Sophia is like, "Well, hold on. That's your mom's. Are you sure you want to do this?" She does. And then just handedly, Sophia likes the earrings that she has. And she's like, "Well, can I have them?" And she's like, "Yeah, have at it. Knock yourself out." Third day, Dex shows up to the precinct with donuts, which if anybody has watched the series, that is sort of it's really cool to sort of see how this sort of became his thing, and so he continues this that legacy all the way up through the old series. But he brings in donuts, and he's the hit. He's the hit of the party. Everybody loves him. Everybody's grabbing a donut. Like, cool. They're smoking, having donuts. The health code there, or the people who are worried about their health there, don't matter. Harry clocks that and sees the Dex is blending in, and he immediately kind of like loves it. He's like, cool. All right, I think this is working. I think we have sort of figured out the sweet spot of this. We then see a flashback of Laura or Harry dropping off Laura at home, say, hey, we really need you. And Laura's like, I don't really know if I can do this. She's like, look, we really need you. We want you to be in this together. I got your back. I'm here for you. We're going to make this happen. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. It's at this point that Dexter, young Dexter, runs up to Laura, and then his brother Brian is off to the side. This is the first time that I think I took a little bit of an issue with this series and this prequel series, because in the original series, Dexter is in a pool of blood basically as a baby. I could say you could say from anywhere from 6 to 12 months. He's not here. He's not walking yet. Like, he's crawling in his blood. Whereas the kid that runs up to him is at least 2 to 3 times that age. Probably, I would say 5 or 6. It's only weird because this series is so attached to being like, I'm a 1-to-1, I'm a prequel series. I'm attached to that. And like, you can look all of this stuff up. You can see photos of the shot of baby Dexter in the blood of Laura. Spoiler, sorry guys if you haven't. But it's just weird to see that, and I don't quite know why they've aged them up or what the purpose was, other than like you wanted the shot of Dexter running out there. Like, seems weird. When we have so much lore and world that shows what Dexter was. Jimmy Powell, the kid that is in captivity, loses an appendage, and that appendage, he loses a finger. That finger is sent to Miami Metro. Well, sent to the judge. Then they get it to Miami Metro through Captain Spencer, and they find that it is a 1-to-1 with Jimmy's fingerprint that they get off of a toy he had. So yes, they have taken off the finger of a kid. Seeing the appendage sort of sends Dex off the rails, off to a kid, and he wants to immediately do something with all the bad people that are in the world. He wants to put his flag and say, hey, we can stop these people. He knows that right now he can't go after the person that has Jimmy, because there's going to be too many eyes on him. So he's like, well, everybody's looking that way. I'm going to go do this thing and solve this thing over here. Sort of what becomes his MO. I do think he's going to circle back around on the person that has Jimmy, and if it's all connected, as it shows, seeming like putting it in that category, then it's going to be somebody that's associated with the death of his mother. So that's his plan. He's like, well, everybody's there. I'm now focused on Tony F. I'm going to bring him down. Dex then buys Harry some Nicorette and sort of like, hey, I want you, if we're putting the methadone to me, I want you to put this to you for smoking, so we can kind of both satiate this on our own. But clearly Dex is off to the races now. Because unlike for Harry, Dex has no 1-to-1 for Nicorette to nicotine. There's nothing that can sort of be that fix, give you that hit that you need. His hit has to be, I gotta kill someone. So while it's a cool shot. We see a shot of Harry doing the things that he doesn't need to do, but it's his de-stress. He's drinking, he's smoking, like he's doing all of those things. We see Deb on the phone chatting, and we see Dex sort of just imagining who his next kill is, and his dark passenger coming back up to the forefront. That's the episode. Solid episode. I still like the first one better, but I do like that we're adding more characters. We got our records folks. She got her down there. We get to sort of see the growth of how awkward Dexter sort of makes his way into the family of Miami Metro. Really solid episode. Not my favorite so far. It's even harder because I have watched the next episode. So that episode I love. So this one just is both good, but that one's phenomenal. But what did you guys think about episode 2 of Dexter Original Sin? And am I tripping on the whole young Dexter aged up piece? Like, am I putting too much thought into that? Because it just feels weird. I feel like it. The point of that is that he was born in the blood, and so if you're so young, you can sort of be born in the blood of that. Whereas in here, he's of an age where it's not a 1-to-1. Like, you're not being born in the blood. You've been pretty cognizant of this, but he also will remember his brother. I feel like at this point, that's the other part of that doesn't make sense. Which you'll see in the first season, he doesn't remember that. So that's, yeah, both of those things seem odd to me. But that's the episode. Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere the place podcasts. We're there. We have our new episode of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 coming out pretty soon. But like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.